Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm here with special guest Rick Greenwood. He is the cinematographer, DP for the upcoming film we're making, A44, and he's here with his camera. So these are expensive cameras. He's going to tell us and show us what he's going to use on film. So we're here with Rick.
Hello.
Rick is, so you are a professional cinematographer, and you're also a teacher.
Yes, yeah, I freelance as a cinematographer. I also write and direct and stuff as well, but I also teach cinematography and directing at the New York Film Academy out here in Los Angeles.
Amazing. And can you tell us what you have here with you today?
So today I brought the Scarlet Dragon, so the red Scarlet Dragon. This is their DSMC-1 model camera. This has the Dragon sensor, which is capable of 6K. We will probably most likely be shooting at 5K. This will be one of two cameras that we will be using on the shoot. This camera, like I said, it's full 5K resolution sensor. These cameras have been used on numerous films recently. Pretty much like the Helium, which is the next gen after this one, was just shot for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Mortal Wars, I think it is. And then of course, like Fincher uses these all the time in his movies. This particular camera was used on Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Also The Hobbit too, right?
The Hobbit used the previous generation of this one.
Oh wow, so this one's even better than that.
Yeah, this one's better than that one. Yep. This one has, in terms of what makes this one better, this one has a better dynamic range. It also has better skin tones and a like highlight roll off. So it's a lot better for like the features on the face and stuff like that.
So the setup we have right here with the monitor on there, the lenses, what does this go for? Like how much are we talking here?
The body itself is about 10 to 15, and then of course we have additional components would basically be the reader, the card itself, the mounting point, the batteries, the monitor. This is a 9-inch or 7-inch monitor. This is a really expensive one. So I mean, and without the lenses, I mean, when you're talking just the body and kind of like the lens mount and stuff like that, you're probably looking at about 30,000.
Wow.
And then the lenses, like this lens is about $7,000 a piece. And of course we have a set of 5. So we have a 25, a 35, 50, 75, and 100. Zoom lenses are great for certain things if you want to do kind of office style or something like that, where you're kind of doing like little zooms and stuff like that. But for the most part, the image quality is much better on a prime lens, and the speed is usually faster, which means it requires less light, and especially considering what we're going to be shooting, you know, some night exteriors and stuff like that. Being a horror film, we want to try to keep it fairly dark. We'll need the extra speed. With
this expensive camera and stuff, there's really only a couple buttons on the camera itself. It's pretty simple, isn't it?
For sure, yeah. It's primarily, like I said, it's basically a computer with a lens mount. Right. Yeah. So I mean, the external body itself doesn't really have that much in terms of like buttons and stuff like that. With this particular camera, all of the functions are really kind of more on the screen, which is a touch screen. So let's power it on. Just to power it on, it's basically that button you were looking at on the side. So basically, we'll power that on. All right, it pretty much like one of the great things about the red camera itself is obviously the customizability of the camera. We can give different functions to different buttons and stuff like that to kind of make it quicker and easier to use. There we go, now it's coming on. All right, hear the fan kicking in. But also too, the biggest thing with this camera is that it has the ability to shoot both the look, which is the in-camera look that we're gonna capture, plus it shoots raw. Alright, so basically anything that you do, it doesn't actually affect. Sorry, I gotta pop that off.
Follow focus is what he's using right now.
There we
go.
So
do you usually use, because I know some cinematographers, they have like somebody on the follow focus with them?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you do it yourself, or do you have somebody with
I usually have somebody to do it with me. I mean, obviously I've had some cases if I'm doing like a reality show or web series or something like that, where I pull it myself. Ideally, it's better to have somebody else do that, so that way I can concentrate on the framing and the movement and stuff like that, especially like we were discussing earlier, is like I think all of us are a fan of like nice moving shots and kind of that nice cinematic kind of moves.
Right.
And when you're doing that and you're changing the relation of the camera to the background and stuff like that, we have to change the focus. So if it's moving, we want to I want to concentrate on keeping it nice and smooth and keeping my framing good, and then let the AC pull the focus, so that way everything is at its top game. there's a lot of different tools and stuff with this camera that we can utilize. So
the nice fluid head
yeah,
tripod that you have there.
Beautiful, yeah, like you tried earlier.
Yeah.
Nice, right? You know, and there's lots of different functions and stuff in there that allow us to help us, you know, get our exposure and focus and tools like that. And like I said, I think that the biggest benefit of this camera is the fact that we can do RAW. All right, which means that basically our file sizes are huge, but basically it allows us to have maximum manipulability in post. So if we really want to build a look or trying to change things around in post, we can do that.
We have the most information for the picture.
Exactly. It gives us a lot of depth to the color information, and obviously with it being 6K, we're 6K or even 5K, we're talking very high resolution, so we have the ability to punch in if we need to. We can always soften it and stuff like that. One of the things that I usually kind of like to do to kind of help build the look a little bit is I do like to use some softening filters. I find like 5K, especially when you get right up in close on somebody, it's really sharp, right? You know what I mean? You can see like all the detail.
Now, when we're out in the filming and stuff, how do you find, what do you look for elements of finding like the best shot? Like, we want to film this scene, how can we make it look the best? Like, what kind of things do you look for?
Multiple things. Obviously, first and foremost, it's basically what's going to be the best to tell the story, right? What's going to be the best to kind of allow us to get the emotional impact and then the feeling of the film. But I personally really am a big fan of like looking at the location and trying to find the best way to utilize the most picturesque or the most aesthetically pleasing parts of the location. You know what I mean? Like I know so many people that'll get like a great location, like they'll get a church, they'll shoot in a church and then they shoot in a corner. It's like, is that the best looking part of the church? No, you want to see the down the rows up to the the end, and where the preacher speaks and stuff. Like, that's the shot you want. You know what I mean? Utilize what you have. You know what I mean? So even if we were like out here, to me, like some of the better looking stuff, that orange tree is really kind of nice, right? So I'd want to try to utilize something with that, or like being able to kind of use foreground element, and so that way when we are moving, we get a little better sense of the space and get a sense of the movement.
And also, like, lighting is very important.
Lighting
too.
Is everything. Lighting is absolutely everything. And that's whether it's outside or whether it's inside when we have full control. The lighting is basically what's going to give you your depth. It's also going to help build the character, the tone, and the texture of the film.
So I have a question. So there's a scene, I'm not really giving anything away, but in the movie A44, which we're shooting, there's a scene where they're outside cornfields, but it's nighttime. Mm-hmm. So how would we light that so it doesn't look like there's like spotlights on it, but also it kind of looks like night, but we can see detail?
Right. I typically like to do, I usually like to do like a really nice soft kind of like moonlight kind of push with it. So basically I don't like to go too direct. I like to kind of keep it more like a bounced light, so it's a little softer, so it doesn't look, like you said, like a spotlight. Usually those are when it doesn't look good, right?
Right.
Just like I mean, I hate to point out, but like Django. Did you see Django? In the beginning of Django, it's like literally like a spotlight down the woods. It was like ridiculous. It was the most ridiculous thing I've seen. It didn't look realistic at all. You know what I mean? But then you could see other movies like Let Me In, like that.
Yeah, I did. I love that movie.
Oh my God, the forest thing in that, they used 236 lights for that shot.
Wow.
So like, you know what I mean? So you can be as attentive to detail as possible, or you can just throw up one light. You know what I mean? I like to kind of find a nice mix because obviously time is money, right?
Now also you see more of an element of like, I'm not sure the word, but like when you have a scene like, for me, the one that sticks out is like Spielberg's scene at like E.T. and stuff, like how he lights the scene very subtly, but he also has like a little bit of like fog in there. Mm-hmm. So the fog, kind of, it makes depth or something.
The fog picks it up, gives it a little more texture to the space, gives you a better sense of the space.
I'm thinking we do some of that for A44 and some of the scenes. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the locations that we're talking about are definitely going to add to that too.
Oh, through the corn and stuff. That would be
great.
like,
yeah, it's going to look great.
If it's not already like that, because it's upstate New York, Syracuse, New York, and it can get really cold that time of year. So, and he's actually from upstate New York too. So we're kind of. Tell us about that. So you were living upstate New York, but you had a dream to become to work in film?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in like Albany, Saratoga area. Actually, Burnt Hills is where I grew up. So it's a small place, so most people haven't heard of it. But
Similar
yeah,
to where I, yep.
yeah. So but yeah, I've always been art related. I've music and drawing and sculpting and painting and all that stuff. And you know, and I've always loved movies. My brother and I are always ones that they can quote every line from a movie. You know, so. My dad actually passed away in 2005, and when he passed away, one of the things he always kept bugging me was like, you have too much talent, you have too much ability, you need to like pursue something. And I'm like a workaholic, but I've done carpentry and car work and veterinary medicine and like all this different random stuff. And you know, he always tried to push me to kind of raise the bar for myself. And when he passed away, it kind of sparked me to kind of get back into things. So I went back to school for fine art, and then I started getting into video art and stuff, and that kind of catapulted me to get, you know, to really go after the movies. So I literally got into the school out here and packed my car and drove out. I didn't even come out to visit or check it out or anything. I literally was just like, okay, I quit my job, got rid of everything, and packed the car and drove 3,300 miles from New York to here.
And how'd you get your foot in the door for making film out here?
Just hard work, man. Just getting on sets and working with people. And, you know, the grad school helped, but, you know, honestly, a lot of the stuff that I get is more word of mouth. It's just having worked with people, and somebody will be like, oh, I need a cinematographer or something. And they're like, oh, hey, you know, if somebody worked with me, they would recommend me, and that's how I've gotten, you know, where I'm at in terms of like the stuff that I've done. It's a very hard game out here. So, you know, I mean, basically, you know, it's just whatever you do, you got to give 100%. You got to, you know, give your heart and soul to it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's all about telling stories, and, you know, whatever your part is in that, you know, you have to, you know, really kill it, you know, drive it home, do a great job with it. So that's why I keep saying it's all about the story.
So are you excited to be going back to your upstate New York to film A44?
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. I've been wanting to. I actually never did a lot of shooting there. I did some smaller stuff, but I never did anything really big there. And you know, the landscape, you know, it's beautiful there. I think it's going to be awesome to go back there and shoot. Especially
when we're going to do it around fall.
Oh, yeah, fall is the best.
It's going to look awesome.
Fall is the best, you know. For those of you who haven't been to New York in the fall, you're missing out. It's beautiful. You know, the leaves changing colors, and, you know, it just, oh man, I remember even living back there, even though I got to see it every year, like every time it would come around, I always had these like back roads, these like dirt roads and stuff. I used to go just drive up and down those all day just to kind of see all the leaves changing, and, you know, drive through and just throwing up, you know, waves of leaves and stuff. It's just fun stuff. It's such a nice experience.
Yeah, you're getting me excited to go film as well. You said you're a huge film buff.
Yep.
Could you name like maybe one or two of your favorite films?
You want me to do horror or any film?
Well, why don't we do one of horror and one of all-time favorite?
Okay. Well, I'll give you a couple, because it's hard to give just like
it really
one.
is. Yeah.
Well, some of my favorites are like I love like Braveheart and Saving Private Ryan and Gladiator, and like The Crow is one of my favorites. I love that movie. But I mean, all the classics and stuff too. I mean, E.T.'s great, Goonies. I mean, I could go on all day. In terms of horror, you know, Exorcist, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hellraiser, loved all that stuff. And zombie movies, man, you know, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later.
What'd you think about the first 10 minutes of 28 Weeks Later?
It's amazing.
Pretty intense.
It's amazing. Like,
now,
to me, that almost makes it better than the first one.
Yeah.
Just that beginning, it's so intense. That part
I
where
agree.
He's like running away, leaving his wife, and
yeah, that's crazy.
So good, right?
And the music was perfect for it.
And what about the scene in the subway?
Yeah, the subway too.
Man.
All right, everybody, that's it. Thank you, Rick, for coming over here and doing the little demonstration.
Absolutely.
And a little interview there. You guys, please go over to A44 Kickstarter. I'll link it below. Donate if you haven't already. Share. We really need to get past the end goal by September 12th, or we don't get anything, and then this movie doesn't happen. So this movie, it's a zombie movie, but it's also got a vegan theme to it. Some of the proceeds will be going to benefit different animal sanctuaries, which is awesome. And you guys are going to have, you know, a nice horror movie. So
Absolutely.
we're excited to do this, but of course we need the funding to do it. So that lays in our Kickstarter hands right now. So anyway, stay safe, watch out for zombies. See you guys next time.